All right, let's dive right in. Today, we're basically opening up a strategic briefing for a conflict that's happening all around us, but it's one that most people never, ever see. So think of this as your field guide to an invisible war, with all our intel pulled directly from the source material.
And our briefing kicks off with this key piece of intel. To win a real war, you need strong defenses and powerful weapons. Simple enough, right? But what if the battlefield is actually your own mind? And what if the weapons aren't made of steel, but of something like light?
Which brings us to our first section, training for an invisible war. We're going to follow the story of a new recruit, so to speak, to really get a handle on how this hidden conflict plays out on a personal level.
So, let me introduce you to John. He's just pulled through an illness that nearly took him out for good. But in the aftermath, something's different. It's not just that he feels better. He feels this new energy, a kind of glow almost, just humming beneath the surface. His personal crisis, it turns out, was his ticket into this hidden reality.
Now this is where it gets really fascinating. The source turns these abstract ideas into a concrete daily drill. I mean, he's literally visualizing pulling down a protective tube of light around himself, like a shield. Then he works on making that shield stronger. He's learning to tune in to his body's energy centers, and even practicing how to shape that light into a weapon. It's not just a thought exercise, it's a daily discipline, a kind of spiritual boot camp.
Okay, so if this war is real, if people like John are training for it, why isn't everyone talking about it? That leads us to a really challenging idea in Section 2. Your comforts are killing you. Yeah, we're about to look at why the very things that feel good might actually be the enemy's best disguise.
This is the million-dollar question, isn't it? It's what another character, Evan, asks in the source text. He's seen what's going on. He knows this battle is real. So he's just looking around thinking, why is everyone else walking around in a daze? Why is everybody so fooled?
And the answer he gets is, well, it's brutally honest. Because most people don't want to hear that their comforts are killing them. This really suggests that the war isn't just against some outside enemy. It's also against our own desire to just stay comfortable, to ignore the hard truths.
And this slide just nails that internal battle. Using sugar addiction as the perfect example. On one side, you've got what your body actually needs. On the other, you've got those quiet little lies from your cravings. And according to the source, this isn't just about being healthy. This is the exact mechanism of the invisible war. These comforts, these addictions, they don't just weaken your body. They dull your spiritual senses. They make it harder to feel that light and way easier for what they call slime to get a foothold. They promise a little bit of pleasure, but what they're really doing is slowly stealing your power.
Okay, so if we're in this war of addiction and distraction, what are the actual forces at play? Let's move to Section 3 and get into the core intel, the 3 kinds of energy. This is the fuel, the actual substance of this entire invisible battlefield.
First up, you've got pure light. Think of this as the ultimate power source. It's described as strong, clean, coming from somewhere higher. But here's the catch. It requires real effort. To tap into it, to use it, you need conscious focus and some serious self-honesty.
Next, we've got local energy. This is basically your personal battery pack, right? The energy that comes from your own body and mind. It's way easier to access, but it's got a major weakness. It gets polluted really easily by our own negative thoughts, bad habits, you name it.
And then there's the nasty stuff. The source calls it slime, and for good reason. This is the toxic gunk left over from twisted thoughts and emotions. It's super easy to tap into. It feels intense, but it's the primary weapon used by what the text calls fallen forces. These non-physical entities that try to gain control by feeding our addictions and lowest impulses.
So we have the battlefield, and we know the types of ammunition being used. Now let's get to the good part, the strategy. Section 4, how to fight back. This is the practical playbook.
And here is the core strategic principle, right here. To hold more light, you have to protect your body and your mind. The source is crystal clear on this. This has nothing to do with being holy or morally superior. It's a totally practical issue of power and clarity. You just can't be an effective warrior if your own systems are compromised.
And this is what that protection actually looks like. It's a warrior's discipline, cutting back on sugar, reducing caffeine, avoiding harsh music, being really selective about the media you consume. The key takeaway here is that every single choice, from what you eat to what you watch, is either making your defenses stronger or weaker. It really demands a clean, unwavering commitment.
All of this, everything we've talked about, it really brings us to the final and maybe the most important section of our briefing.
It boils everything down to one single fundamental choice. Are you a victim or are you a creator? And this just lays out the two paths so clearly. You've got the path of slime. That's the path of just going along with things, believing those whispered lies of addiction, letting outside forces call the shots, and just reacting to life like a victim. But then there's the harder path, the conscious path. That means being honest about your cravings, deliberately choosing your environment, and responding to life as a creator.
And really, this is the ultimate takeaway. Every single choice matters. Every thought you have, every word you say, every decision you make, it's an act of creation. You are either actively shaping a future filled with more light and clarity, or you're letting it become dimmer and more easily controlled by other influences.
So that's the briefing. We've gone over the battlefield, the weapons, and the strategy. The source material is clear that this war is invisible to most people. So that leaves us with one final, very personal question to think about. Is it still invisible to you?